it's not always the critical incident that we recognize, because most officers aren't going to have one of those in their career. One's plenty, but there are other things that create stress on this job. And I think it's the concern for openness or the reluctance to be open that creates that stress. And this will help to mitigate that some. A chink in the armor is a weak spot. That's just by my interpretation. And because of that, somebody who feels like they complained about something or had a bad day, and it might be their parent died. It could be, believe it or not, it could be their dog dies. That might be the worst day for some guys. And because they showed this moment of weakness, they get involved in a serious incident somewhere down the road, maybe take a life or save a life, and they feel a little weak. And somebody says, well, I remember when his dog died. He had that same expression. I mean, he's got this weak spot. It shows this chink in the armor, if you will, that really doesn't exist. But because two separate incidents with a similar outcome happen, it means there's a trend. It means there's a pattern. And because of that, we just choose not to tell you even about our dog. I think this program will go a long ways towards allowing people to have less fear of being honest. And it may be because the person they talk to is of like mind, another officer perhaps, but it might be someone that they don't see every day. So they feel like they can talk to this other officer in a way that they wanted to talk to an officer they see every day, but without the consequences of it being repeated or the fear of it being repeated. The brotherhood and sisterhood of blue, I'm a previous generation police officer. I mean, my experience goes back more than 40 years. It's changed a lot. Residency, people are more mobile now. Defined contribution pensions, maybe people don't even know what that is, but you're much more portable. In my era, when someone hired you, it was sort of like Al Kaline being drafted by the Tigers. He was going to be a Tiger forever. And for us, that connection to a particular geographic area or police department is not like it used to be. But there still is that us versus them thing. And you can't deny that. It's maybe not off duty like it used to be, where the police officers, we socialize together, we travel together, we vacation together with each other's kids. Nowadays, I think that brotherhood and sisterhood of blue exists from 8 to 5 or 12 to 12, which is good. It's good. But it doesn't carry into the off-duty life like it once did, because I think of the mobile society that we live in. The us versus them mentality comes from a variety of areas. In the old days, police work was an honorable position. I like to think it continues to be, but I don't think that most people share that view, or at least not those that are speaking out. If an officer moved down the street from you, you always knew you could go to his house for a hand. You always knew that you assumed he was watching what's going on in the neighborhood, and he probably was. Nowadays, I get the impression that a police officer moving in down the street means that it's going to interfere with your private life. It's not a benefit. It's more of a problem, because, well, now he's going to want to do this, or I can't park left wheels to the curb, or we can't have a loud party because you know how the police are. In the old days, we just invited the police officer, and it was fine. So that started that part of the us versus them. Inside of the building, it continues to exist, and it's always existed, because we still believe that if we say something to a boss, it's going to be used against us. And we seem to be under the impression, whether it be real or imagined, that bosses, when they put the bars on or the gold collar on, that they change. Personally, I think a lot of them do, not all, but I think many of the subordinates feel they all do. And so therefore, once that happens, I can't talk to you anymore. The us versus them perception, I think, amongst the community in police, to me, I hate to lay a net over one group out of all, but I believe it's the media, because only recently we've seen media reports of things where obvious recorded evidence shows something to the contrary, and then gets blanked out in the media coverage. So nobody really trusts the media except the people that are watching it every night on the news. And why would the media lie? So for us, we've lost that connection to the community because it's just not popular to talk about the police in a positive light. We had an incident just recently where a police officer stops the guy for not having a baby in a car seat. What does he do? He drives to Walmart and buys the guy a car seat because the guy's got no money. So should I write this guy a ticket? Should I tow his car? Should I call Child Protective Services? No. Let's go get him a car seat. The guy's got enough problems. You didn't see that on TV. You won't see it on TV. This team that has been put together, and I didn't know any of them, is that they understand that we're not normal, for lack of a better term, and that it takes a different thing. And that's why this program has potential to work, is if you train the right guys. We need backup with like the doctors and the psychiatrists and psychologists, but we also need that guy at the scene that a guy will talk to. We all want to talk to the doctor, but we really want to just talk to him and say, hey, here's what happened. Man, oh man, I'm going freaking crazy. That's the guy we need out there. If we train the right guys and we get them in the right places, that's how we'll get the confidence of the guy that really needs the help. That good guy that quit that department the other day would have somebody not in his department, not that his bosses, not the EAP. He could call a guy in Jackson and say, you got a minute? If we can do that, this still will work. And I think I'm proud of the parts you guys put together. I really am. I was the very first meeting we had on TV there on the Zoom deal. I was listening to people that I really thought were going to overwhelm me with a lot of, doctors talk and stuff and things, and good, well-intended, well-meaning people. But what I actually heard was people say, "No, we need you guys to pick the peer counselors because we don't know who you are. We don't know how to ask that question." And that was good stuff. It gave me a lot of confidence.